What other position battles are you looking at beyond the offensive line? Because to me, you have some things shored up on this defense that you don't have to really worry about. It's mainly on the offensive side that I'm kind of wondering, again, the offensive line being the most intriguing. I guess beyond that, would you say, are we arguing about who is the one at wide receiver? Who is is it beyond Mycah? Is there somebody that you're looking to that you say, okay, well, we know this is going to be the 2 and the 3?
I'd say it's who's going to be the number 2 receiver. I think Mycah Pittman's number 1. You could set that aside. Wherever you line him up, he's going to be the featured player in the offense until Winston Wright is 100% healthy, and maybe even after Winston Wright is 100% healthy. But let's just assume for a moment that you're going to go several games at minimum without a 100% Winston Wright. Yeah, who is that guy? Is it Malik McClain? Is it Johnny Wilson? Is it Pokey Wilson? I don't know. I mean, there are options there, but there's going to be a battle in camp. And that's, the first thing I'm going to be looking at, I think, just from an assignment standpoint, because I did it in spring, will be the offensive and defensive lines. I really enjoy that assignment. But if I had a day where I could step away from that assignment and look at something else, I would want to see how the receiver battle is stepping up. And I don't know that you're going to learn that until pads come on anyway.
You can't.
7-on-7 work. For example, Jakai Douglas, and there's a name too, but Jakai Douglas is a player who dominated in spring camp before pads came on, and then he was up and down. He's going to be an explosive playmaker, I think, for this offense, that you don't see him get 8 targets a game, but the 3 he gets might be really game-changing type plays. But I would love to see when the pads come on who separates themselves, because Pittman made a statement in the spring, who is going to answer in the fall.
Yeah, because I don't have a clear answer to that. I think it's probably Pokey. And I don't want Pokey to be a 2. I think he's going to have to be while we're waiting on Winston Wright. Now, if Winston Wright is healthy, you talk about a boon. You talk about something that could change the fortunes of Florida State's offense from day one. Let's say he's back for LSU. Say he's back for Louisville. If that's true and he's ready to go at game speed and has a clear-cut understanding of what they're doing offensively, now you slide Pokey to the 3. Well, that's a game changer, because that's where that's where you'd want him, as a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the one thing I'd say, though, is how many snaps are going to be derived by the difference in body type, too.
Yeah.
If you've got Pittman and Wright and Pokey, it's not exactly the diminutive Kermit Whitfield and Bobo Wilson out there, but they aren't large dudes either. And a big portion of this offense has to be the bubble, or at least the thought of the bubble on every play. They like to do zone read plus a bubble triple option with Jordan Travis being able to run, right? So you got 3 options on every play. I don't know how many of those guys are going to be committed to blocking consistently, or, if they have the aptitude of a Malik McClain when he's engaged, or Johnny Wilson when he's engaged. Is it by definition that because Johnny Wilson likes to block, is a huge sum gun? I won't use a big sum like what Corey would say. Does that mean that he's just by definition going to get more snaps because he can fulfill that role? And then if he's inconsistent catching the ball himself, as long as he can every once in a while, then you have to honor his presence on the field. It'll just be interesting to see, given what the game plan is week to week, who does command those snaps. But there's no doubt that if Pittman's healthy and Wright's healthy, they would be the top 2 guys commanding the most reps.
It's of vital importance that Johnny Wilson become semi-dependable. Because they don't have enough guys that look like that. They don't have enough guys that change the way that defenses have to play because of mismatches physically. Where they know, well, we're going to have a problem here because we got nobody that one-on-one can really do anything with his physicality. If he's going to win those 50-50 balls with that sheer size, that mass, and 6'7" frame, that's huge. I didn't see it in the spring. He'd have a day where it happened, a couple of days where it didn't in a row. Then you'd have a moment again, he'd bring you back, and you'd turn around and you'd look and you'd go, God, dropped everything that was thrown to him today. He always blocked. He is a physical presence. If he can become consistent, it does change your entire roster at wide receiver, because Mycah Pittman is a very different receiver from Johnny Wilson. And I think Florida State has been far too reliant on diminutive receivers. And it's really frustrating to watch. I'm not as high on Jakai Douglas, I think, as the rest of the staff, meaning Warchant staff. I don't see him being a consistent playmaker at all in this offense. I think he's a guy that every now and again will make a big play because he has that potential. But I don't see him getting open consistently and catching the football consistently in this offense. I don't. I just think he's a guy that's kind of an occasional home run hitter. You might get a big play like you're talking about, but I don't think that down to down, series to series, you're going to be hearing a lot of Jakai Douglas's name called.
No, I don't think so either. But I think if you're a home run hitter, it doesn't matter if that comes on what seems to be a benign 2nd and 9 at your own 32. Like that play can change the course of the game, and he's going to get cracks at that. And when he's on the field as a defensive coordinator, you probably have to have an extra player over the top on that side of the field. So what it's going to do is create matchups underneath, because it's clear that Jordan Travis and Jakai Douglas have a rapport together as well. That's the thing that they have to work on in fall camp is getting to a place where the rapport with the Johnny Wilson and Jordan Travis is where it needs to be, or Wright when he gets healthy. They've got to get on the same page. But if you want to visualize it, not necessarily with Jakai, who's going to be a specialist and not an every down 3rd and 6, where's Jakai on the field? You're never going to do that. But let's just say that on one side of the field, you've got trips stacked, and it's in a bubble-looking formation, right? So you got Trey Benson next to Jordan Travis, and there's Johnny Wilson and Malik McClain with Mycah Pittman on one side and Winston Wright on the other, and Trey Benson next to Jordan Travis. Now, if you put that in your brain, you can visualize and see, oh, you can do some things offensively with that.
Actually, that gets exciting. Sorry, Tom. That gets exciting. I'm glad you did the visual there, because when you hear that, of course, what fans will do, and we all do, we will envision those players maximized, optimized.
Yep.
So those players are the best versions of themselves, not the wildly inconsistent versions of themselves that we see day to day in practice. So you've assumed a few things: that Winston Wright is healthy, and that these other 3, for example, on the other side, are guys that are all going to be the best version of themselves. I'd like to believe that that's true. If that happens, man, because if you just got done basically describing a scenario by which, in a situation like that, you got 2 massive individuals to block for one diminutive individual, and here we go.
Right, and even if Winston Wright's not healthy, let's say that it's Cam McDonald against the line of scrimmage on that side with Trey Benson. So it's just trips, and then maybe you can run something like a speed option off to the other side. Whatever it is, you have to honor that and play with balance defensively. You can't cheat on that, because I think the bubble game is going to be stronger for 2 reasons. Number one, you've got more dudes who can block. Johnny Wilson's going to be a weapon there. Malik McClain already showed many times last year that he is willing to go make a play for somebody else, and that's part of the culture that they're trying to build, but he's also apt at it. McClain's a big enough guy to pull that off. But better than that, look at the way Mycah Pittman finished a couple of plays in the spring game around the line of scrimmage and around the goal line. He is not afraid of contact. We've had so many freaking receivers in that kind of a setup that A, don't want to block, and then B, the guy who catches the ball doesn't really like contact all that much anyway. They want to scat their way into the open field and then bounce it for 10 or 15 yards. Pittman doesn't give a damn. He's going to lower his shoulder, and if he has to get through one player in order to make that play go from 5 yards to 17 yards, he'll do it. So I'm not a huge fan in general of the bubble screen. It's kind of annoying and gadgety to me. But if you've got dudes that can run it, and then you've got a quarterback who can run like the wind blows, and a player like Trey Benson, now you can start to see, if that offensive line gets where it needs to go, that this could be a nightmare of an offense to stop.